Okay, so do you have blocks handy if they're in the space that you're in? Perhaps a blanket as well. We're going to start on our backs today. So just nice and easy, relaxing. And do have a block or a blanket close. We're going to eventually come into tree pose on our back, but we're going to just start kind of a modified Shavasana here. So laying down, take your arms out nice and wide, and then play around. So kind of do some snow angels. And then I want you to find the place where arms feel good. Perhaps it's a cactus shape. You might feel best in classic Shavasana here. Edges of our feet to the edges of the mat, and then just allow your knees to knock in towards each other. Chin is gently tucked. Your tailbone is directing towards your heels. Close your eyes. You're pressing into the center of the back of your head. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Let it go. Ha. Do that a couple more times. So landing on your mat, using that breath to help bring your attention to your body, noticing how things are feeling today. When you've done that a few times, when you feel really nice and relaxed, you're just going to come into a quiet place here. Start to find the rhythm of your Ujjayi breath. So you'll inhale through your nose and you'll exhale through your nose. You're creating a soft rush of air in the back of your throat. So it's definitely audible to you. You might hear your neighbor's breath at visual interest. As much as possible, we're trying to create that equanimity between the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. It seems very auspicious to do so on this, the autumnal equinox. So night and day are equal today. There's a sense of balance. Observe if any tension has crept into your body. It happens. We start to grip. We start to think about things. And usually that's when we start to get a little rigid. So keep reminding yourself to come back to your breath. Feel your shoulder blades pressing down heavy in the mat underneath you. Feel your hip plates pressing into the mat, your feet pressing into the mat. Another moment or two here, soaking up the quiet. It's so nice to take a break from the busyness of our lives. And then take a nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Heel toe your feet, so they're about hips distance apart. Reach your arms up overhead, so palms face towards each other. Start to flatten out that curve in your lower back, so you really begin to direct that tailbone forward. It feels like you're pulling your belly button in a little bit. Spread the fingers so they're really energetic. The arms are firming. It feels like our downward facing dog arms, handstand arms, so they're that active. And then let's start to extend right leg to straight. And then left leg to straight. So you're going to get a little more of that curve in the lower back. It's going to naturally happen, but see if you can flatten it a hair. Eyes might still be closed. Maybe you're looking up at the ceiling. Perhaps you even start to gaze back so you could just see the fingertips. That can be a really big stretch in the neck. Your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. It's as though you're standing here. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. As you do that, release your arms by your side. Keep that left leg extended. Hug your right knee in to your chest. And then just go back and forth, side to side. You can hold that right shin knee with your right hand. Just opening up that hip. We're gonna take this into a half happy baby. So you might find that having this left leg extended is a little too much to do this. So perhaps you bend the knee. You can stay here if that feels okay. You're gonna take your right hand, potentially grab the outer edge of your right foot and then gently start to press down. That might not be happening. So the other option would be to grab that right thigh. So you're getting the hip opening. Your knee, right knee is pointing out a 45-degree angle-ish. We're gonna transition this into tree pose. So those left toes are really active. If your knee is bent, go ahead and start to straighten the leg. Bring your right hand to your right ankle. Bring the sole of that foot to the inside of your left thigh, and you can have it resting on the mat. This is an excellent place, especially if you tend to be a little tighter, to take a block or a blanket, slide it underneath that right knee, maybe even higher up onto the right thigh. Inhale, find length through the sides of your waist. Next, inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Lift your wrists up off the mat, just a hair. Keep directing your tailbone towards your heel. Maybe here you start to gaze back towards your fingertips again. Exhale, release your hands by your side. Use your right hand to help draw that right knee in. You can keep it here pressing on the mat like this if you took that modified variation. Otherwise, you extend that leg to straight. It's active. Toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. We come into that half happy baby on the left side. So go ahead, hug that left knee in. And then go side to side. You can make little circles, just finding some movement, starting to warm up that big hip socket. So the variation of this would be to have that right knee bent. Go ahead and find your half happy baby. So left hand comes to the outside of the left foot. My arm is to the inside of the lower leg. And I gently start to pull down. If that's not working, hand simply comes to the thigh. That's a great variation if you're a little tighter in those hamstrings and even quads and glutes. Couple more breaths. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose, you're gonna forget that. So you keep reminding yourself to come back. I'm gonna remind you to keep focusing on your breath. And then we're gonna set this up for tree pose on our left side. So begin to extend that right leg to straight. Perhaps you have your block or your blanket. Bring your left hand to the outside of that left ankle. And then the foot comes to the inside of that right thigh. You can rest the foot down on the mat. It doesn't need to be pressing into that thigh per se. Gaze straight up at the ceiling. Point those right toes up towards the ceiling. That leg is really active. Imagine that you're standing on it. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Spread the fingers so the arms are really energetic. And your thumbs, your wrists are just lifting up off the floor. Maybe begin to bring your gaze back. So if we were standing, it would be like looking up at the ceiling. Good. As you exhale, release hands by your side. Use your hand to help draw that left knee in. Hug knees into your chest. Give them a good squeeze here. And just because we can, let's come into a full happy baby. So grabbing the outer edges of your feet, starting to press down. You start to flatten the curve in the lower back a little bit here. If this isn't working, you simply press down on your thighs. So they're great variations. We're all built a little different. We all do different things, so we get tight in different spots. We can get really attached to this idea that the poses need to look a certain way for us to be doing yoga correctly. It's BS as far as I'm concerned. Roll up, make your way to your tabletop position, and let's start to move into some cat-cow. So just warming up the spine, which is gonna feel really nice. So shoulders over wrists, fingers spreading a lot. So much so that it feels a little awkward, and then I want you to start to press down into all 10 knuckles. Your knees are under your hips. If you have your Zoom camera on, you can just peek to see that that's happening. So these cameras can actually be a really nice tool for us to help see our alignment. But then you want to let that go as well and just feel it in your body. Close your eyes here. As you inhale, begin to arch in your lumbar. Shoulder heads are pressing back. You're bringing your chest forward through the gates of your shoulders. As you exhale, press them out away. Round in, let the back of your neck lengthen. Inhaling, arching. Exhale, round. And you continue like this, moving at your pace, finding your breath, finding a rhythm that's good for you today. If you're feeling a little lethargic, I want you to speed the breath up a bit. If you're feeling stressed out, anxious, there's too much to do, you don't know how you're gonna get it down or done, I want you to slow the breath down. So in this way, the breath becomes this nice tool to help us modulate our state of mind, energetically how we're feeling. You're paying attention to your spine here. Where is there a sense of ease? Where are you feeling a little tighter? Can you breathe some of that easy feeling into those spots that are tight? And it might take a few more rounds to get there. It might take a few more minutes to get there. Do check in with how your body is feeling now, though, and we're going to check in throughout the class and just notice how things shift. It's a couple more rounds here. Good. On your next inhale, come back to a neutral spine. You're neither arching nor rounding. So the back is pretty flat here. As you inhale, you're going to lift your right leg up off the mat. Hips or even toes are pointing down. Exhale, root down into that right hand. Your shoulder is under your wrist. Inhale, stretch your left fingertips forward. So feel those shoulder blades still releasing down your back. Get as long as you can, stretch out. Deep inhale. Exhale, release. All right, so same thing to the left side. Inhale, that left leg lifts. The tendency is for this hip to open. Resist that urge. So lower that left hip down, even with the right. Feel outer hip squeeze in to help you feel the stability. Root down as you exhale into that left palm. Stretch your right fingertips forward. Looking slightly ahead or even down on the floor in front of you is going to help with the balance. This is absolutely a balance pose, and that's kind of the theme for the class today. Transitions, we're transitioning from summer to fall. See equinox, which is, as already mentioned, very balanced. Deep inhale here. Exhale, release. So we're gonna move that with the breath. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, release. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale, release. I want you to do 5 more. To each side. You're not moving super fast here. You're keeping your belly squeezing in, so you're getting that core support. You're seeing if you can find length. As you reach your leg back, focus on pointing those toes down towards your mat. And we can be loose on the counting here. I've lost count, so let's say a couple more to each side. You're gonna end with that left leg stretching back. All right, so when you're done there, come back to your tabletop position. And let's find a nice little modified Vashisthasana here. So reach those right toes back. Fire up that leg, it's in plank pose. Roll to the inner edge of that foot, maybe seal into the back edge of the foot. Again, left shoulder is over left wrist. Start to spin open, lengthen through this left side of your waist, start to extend this top arm up. You're wrapping those left ribs up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're bringing your gaze up towards the ceiling. That's gonna make the balance a little bit harder. Spin your palm to face the front of the room. Reach that arm up and over. Are you holding your breath? I started to. We often do when we come into these balance poses. Keep it moving. Good, inhale, stretch that right arm up. As you exhale, release down. Same thing to the second side. So stretch your left leg back. And then root into that left palm, open up. I did that wrong. Do the other side. You know what I mean. So rooting down into your right palm, left leg reaches back. You're lengthening through that right side of your waist. You're rolling those right ribs up towards the ceiling, maybe gazing up. Spin your palm to face forward. Reach that arm up and over. See how long you can get. Inhale, lift that left arm up. As you exhale, you unwind. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches, spread fingers, curl toes under, downward facing dog. Let's just come to a place of stillness today, right away. So you're letting the neck lengthen, your ears are in line with your biceps, that inner arm. Feet are hips distance apart. And especially this first downward dog, little bend in the knees is absolutely fine. That might happen throughout the entire practice. But as we begin to warm up the hamstrings, the spine, you're gonna find a little more release of the heels to the mat. Doesn't matter if they ever get there. Pull your belly in, moving nice and slow with the breath. As we inhale, we shift forward, plank. Gaze slightly forward. Exhale, belly pulls in, hips and sit bones stretch up towards the ceiling. We make our way back to our downward dog. So turn this into a core exercise. Inhale, belly helps to extend you forward. Exhale, pull back nice and slow, downward dog. 2 more, you're like a little wave undulating on the ocean. And this is definitely building some heat in the body, so enjoy that sensation. We pull back to downward dog. Take a deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Inhale, shift forward. So body is really active. Gaze is slightly forward. As we exhale, the elbows bend an inch, maybe 2. No more than halfway. So elbows in line with shoulder heads. Notice if you're dumping in your lower back, maybe come to your knees, land on your belly. Stretch your arms forward, palms facing towards each other, and we're gonna just move opposites again. So forehead on the mat. As you inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Shoulder blades release down your back, inner thighs spiral up. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Lower. 3 more to each side, moving with your breath. So this is a little vinyasa. Vinyasa flow happens anytime we start to connect the movement with breath. And it has this nice calming quality. It focuses many of us. Moving with the breath like this gives our brains something to chew on. So we turn off the brain a little bit, or we're turning it on in a different way. Good, so the next time your right leg and left arm are lifted, stay there. You're still breathing nice and even. You're seeing if you can stretch out a little longer. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left leg, right arm for the hold. Shoulder blades releasing down your back. Gaze slightly forward. Lower down. This time as you inhale, everything lifts up off the mat. As you come into this, should you feel any sensation in your lower back, if it feels crunchy and uncomfortable, place your feet back down. Keep feet lifted, take arms out wide. And then from here, start to bend your elbows. Place your fingers on the mat underneath your shoulder heads. Feet return to the mat. We're in our low cobra pose here. Couple Just moving with the breath. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up, lengthen back. Exhale, lower. Inhaling up. And you have the option to stay here. If you're ready for an up dog, drag your hands back quite a bit. So your wrist is underneath your elbow. Check to see that that's happening. As you inhale, you press into the tops of your feet. Press into your hands. You start to bring those arms to straight. Your shins, your knees, your thighs are lifting up off the mat. If that's not happening in your body, come back down to your cobra. Couple more breaths. Gaze slightly forward. Maybe bring your eyeballs to look up. And if you are in your upward facing dog, roll over your toes, pull back to downward dog. Use your belly, your sit bones, your hips to help you find that. If you are in your low cobra, press to your tabletop and then curl your toes under. Good. From here, we're going to start to walk our feet forward to meet our hands. As you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Reach arms out and up. Just stay here. So your Utthita Hastasana into Dasana, extended mountain pose. Check down, look at your feet. Make sure that you're not gripping those toes. You could even lift them up off the mat. Try to spread them. As you do that, you're going to feel yourself pressing into the four corners of your feet. Arms are active and engaged. Just imagine that somebody is pulling you up by your wrists. So you're getting all of this length through the sides of your waist. Good. Start to put your brain into your left foot. As you exhale, release your hands down by your side. Keep rooting into that left foot. Come up onto those right toes. Open that hip up. So here we are. Tree pose again. You might stay here like this. Maybe you lift that right foot to the lower leg. A few of us might be able to grab the ankle and then lift that foot higher into the thigh. So we don't want the foot on the knee. The higher up you can get, the more you can start to squeeze everything into the midline. And as we come into this pose, seems like the balance is pretty easy, but there's actually so much work happening in that standing foot. So this is a great foot strengthener. But it kind of teaches us how deceptive balance is as well. It actually takes a lot of effort to get here. Start to stretch your arms up. Feel that lift of your sternum. You can take your arms as wide as you need to so that your shoulders feel good and you can bring your arms to straighter. Begin to bring your gaze up. See how tall you can get. And then as you exhale, hands come back down the midline. Release that right leg. And I often have us fidget back and forth. Let's just try to find this place of stillness right here. So nice Tadasana. You're beginning to put your brain down into that right foot. You're putting your brain in this right hip. It's squeezing into the midline. Lower belly is pulling in and up. Inhale up onto those left toes. And we find the hip opener here. So this is like a warrior two or a triangle pose. You could stay here like this. This is the work. You might lift that foot a little higher. Maybe you have the flexibility to reach down, grab the ankle, place that foot into the thigh. Doesn't matter if that ever happens. You're breathing. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. You're smiling. You're softening the muscles in your face. We can clench our teeth here. It actually doesn't help the balance. You're noticing all of those little micro movements happening in that standing foot. Mine is going back and forth. Start to extend your arms up, taking them as wide as you need to. Finding so much length in your body, enjoying how that feels. It's like you're growing an inch taller here. Start to bring your gaze up, which is going to make the balance a little more challenging too, especially if you're in a room that has a tall ceiling. And then as we exhale, everything comes down the midline. Release, steady here, rooting into both feet. Suddenly the balance just got easier. Of course, there's still these tiny little movements happening. If you were to close your eyes, let's do it. You can kind of feel that swaying that happens in your body. Let's keep our eyes closed, and we're going to just move into some half sun salutes. And I want you to keep focused on your feet, both of those feet rooting into the earth, even as we move through these various poses. So releasing arms by side, inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. So with eyes closed, we can really tune into these poses. The back of your neck is lengthening. As you inhale, you lengthen through the sides of your waist. You're making an L shape. Hands can be on shins or thighs or fingertips on floor. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Feel those arches lift. Toes are nice and light. Inhaling, reaching up. Extended mountain pose. Exhale, we fold in to our full forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen into our half forward fold. Exhale, back into the full forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Exhaling, hands come together at your heart. You have 2 more of these. Moving with your breath. You can open the eyes if that feels better. It might feel nice to keep them closed. Sometimes it's just easier to focus and not get distracted. Kind of tune everything out with the eyes closed. Let these feel really spacious in your body, really graceful in your body. Maybe just observe how things are already in short order starting to feel different. Good. When you've finished that second round, palms together at your heart, taking a couple of breaths here. Observing how your body is heating up. The heart might be beating faster. You might be breathing a little faster. These are all good things. It's a big reason why we come to yoga. Okay, so we're gonna add on here. Blink your eyes open, release your arms by your side, moving into some full sun salutes. So as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, fold in. And this starts to get easier as we warm up the backs of the legs, the hamstrings. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward, keep looking forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, spread your fingers, right foot back, then left. Here we are in our plank pose, shift forward on toes. You're still in the same exhale. Lower, hover here or come all the way down. Inhale into your upward facing dog or your low cobra. You have options. As you exhale, use your belly. Those sit bones help pull you up towards the ceiling. Let the neck lengthen as you gaze between your feet. Fingers spread, maybe just peek between your hands. Make sure that they're spreading a lot. That helps to activate the arms. We take a couple of breaths here. You can always take an exhale through the mouth. That's going to help cool you down if you're starting to get a little hot. As we inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. Couple of options here. You can walk your feet forward, step right then left. Maybe spring both feet through. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Couple more. Inhaling, reaching. Again, take up space. Feel really graceful in your body. Exhale, you fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So a lot happening in this exhale. Bend your knees, plant your palms, spread your fingers, left foot back, then right. Shift forward on toes, maybe come to knees. Lower, chaturanga. Hover here or come all the way down. Inhale, low cobra or upward dog. They're both great. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths. Inhale, little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. End of your exhale, lightly hop through or step left and right. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch up, take up lots of space, find length. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. One more. Inhaling, reaching Utthita Hastasana into Tadasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. Bend knees, plant palms, right foot back, then left plank Dandasana, lowering to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha. As you exhale, Adho Mukha. Few breaths. How is this downward dog starting to feel different? It's opening up, you're finding more space, perhaps even finding more strength, but also perhaps a sense of ease. As you inhale, bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. At the end of your exhale, you're gonna walk forward, step right then left, or hop through. Inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, fold in. Good, inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. All right, so adding on here, feet can be about hips distance apart. They might be a little bit closer. We're gonna come into our chair pose, our Utkatasana, and then we're gonna move that to the floor. So as you inhale, bend your knees, stretch your arms up. A few breaths here. This is probably the only pose in yoga where more weight is in the heels than in the front of the foot. So toes should be pretty light. You don't need to be gripping them. You can take your arms as wide as you need to so that you can start to bring those elbows to straight. Let your lower belly pull in. Try to find length through the sides of your waist. And then we're gonna start to sink a little closer to the earth. Ooh, feel the quadriceps burn. You might just plop down. That's fine. And we're gonna come into a little flow with our Navasana and our Ardha Navasana. So I want you to find your sit bones. You can kind of even lift one up, then the other. So you're pressing into the center of them. The key here is to keep the back nice and long. Shoulder heads pressing back. So the tendency, this is a hard pose, we start to round in. So try to hold on to this feeling, sternum lifting. And let's start with our hands underneath our thighs. All right, so you're pulling your belly in, you're smiling, you're not gonna clench your jaw. The great thing about doing this in Zoom is you can just turn your camera off and lay down. Actually, I can't see you anyway, so you don't even need to bother with turning your camera off. All right, we're gonna lift our right leg up, and we're gonna lift our left leg up. So you might just stay here with hands under your thighs. You might start to extend arms forward. We're gonna hold this for a few breaths. So one of the things that's really exciting about the spring equinox and the autumn equinox is that you can balance eggs. Supposedly, it turns out that this is fake news. I looked it up. Apparently you can balance eggs any day of the year, but I was told that it happens on the equinox. This is why we have Google. Okay, one final thing here. Maybe you straighten your legs. That's a lot of work in the hip flexors. Most of us start to round the back. So if that happens, you bend the knees. Here we go. Exhale, lower. Keep your shoulders lifted up off the mat. Inhale. Oh, exhale. Inhale up. Couple more. So just a little flow. Inhale up. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Look at your toes. Spread them. See if you can lift your shoulders up a little higher. You're going to feel your lower belly burn. 3, 2, and 1. Hug your knees into your chest. We crack to the egg. Rock a little bit from side to side. Google cracked my egg. I'm so sad that that's not a true story. Okay, so from here, we're gonna start to roll forward and back in our spine. We're gonna roll up, we're gonna stick. We're gonna try to balance our Utkatasana. So it's this fine line between enough momentum and not enough momentum. Isn't that like so true of life in general? So when you feel ready, it doesn't have to look good. You might fall out of this. You might have to take a couple of attempts. Nice, guys. Press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. Ooh, I got warm there. Take a few breaths, let everything slow down. Maybe close your eyes. Good. So, releasing your arms by your side, blinking your eyes open. As you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana, chair pose. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, bend knees, plant palms, left foot back, then right, lower chaturanga. Whatever that looks like, you can mix and match. As we start to warm up and get tired, less is more. Okay, so we inhale, lift our right leg. Exhale, step that foot through. Spin into the back edge of your left foot. As you inhale, rise up into your warrior one. Good. As you exhale, release your hands back behind you. I want you to take your right index finger and thumb on top. Feel your sternum lift, so nice little heart opener. Keep the legs really strong here as you exhale. Start to hinge forward, fold in any amount. If you're more flexible in your shoulders, your palms are facing towards, pressing in towards each other. You're extending your wrists forward any amount. Are you gripping your neck? Are you gripping your toes in that front foot especially? Soften those places. Good. As we inhale, arms reach. Virabhadrasana 1. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. So a couple of options. You step back to your downward facing dog. You can take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. If you would like to do so with that right leg lifted, you lower down. Make sure that you put your toes down before you come into your back bend. All right, I'm gonna do that little sequence to the second side. So as you inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. Spin into the back edge of your right foot. Those toes are pointing towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Strong legs, deep bend in this front knee. Rise on up. If you feel really imbalanced here, walk that left foot off to the left. Good, and then as we exhale, we release our hands behind us. This time, left index and thumb on top. Feel that big heart opener, that big stretch in the shoulders. As you exhale, bow in, humble warrior. Nice little shoulder stretch, definitely a balance stretch. It helps to press into the four corners of the feet. It helps to keep that breath moving nice and steady. And then stay really strong in your feet here. Inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Maybe press palms this time, gaze up. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. Flip onto those right toes. You step back, downward dog. Take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. As you lower here, make sure that you press those left toes to the mat before you come into your back bend. And then we pull back, downward dog. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out, ha. Quick little child's pose. So lowering down to your knees, big toes together. Knees apart, stretch and lengthen your chest forward. You can reach your arms forward. As you're doing that, your hips are melting back any amount. And you're consciously trying to shift and slow things down here. Good, start to walk your arms off to the right, so you're finding a little twist. You're wrapping those left ribs towards that right thigh. You're gonna feel a little more pressure in that outer right hip, even the groin slightly. Good, walk back to center. And then off to the left. You're wrapping the right ribs towards that left thigh. You're finding that nice twist in the torso. Your breath has started to slow down. Come back to center. And then press up to your tabletop. Walk your hands slightly forward if you need to for your downward dog. Curl toes under. As you inhale, a little bend in your knees. Come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, step left and right or spring through. You can also walk through. It's a challenging move, even though it seems like it's not. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Inhaling, knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana, chair pose, nice and slow. As you exhale, press your legs to straight. Okay, so have a block handy at the top of your mat. Come into your nice Tadasana. So we're gonna find another little balance pose, and then we're gonna do this balance in a flow. So we're gonna transition, but first we're gonna come into our Garudasana eagle pose. So rooting down into that left foot. Same actions that we had in our tree pose, except for this time both hips are gonna stay neutral. All right, so belly is pulling in, tailbone is releasing down. Outer left hip is squeezing into the midline. Okay, so we're gonna start to wrap this right thigh over our left thigh. So this is a really nice place. If you're tight and it's really hard to balance here, you're gonna grab your block. I should have had you place it off to the left side, and you can just rest your toes, right toes on the block. This allows you to squeeze your outer hips in, your inner thighs in. If this is a little easier in your body, you can kind of do that on your own. A few of us might be able to reach your boat of a foot behind that lower left leg and hook. As you do that, you might start to draw this left hip back a lot, so keep directing it forward. Okay, we're gonna reach our arms out, and we're gonna give ourselves a hug, right arm on top. Elbows stack, start to lift them up, and then we're gonna sink in a little deeper into this left leg. It's like you're in a one-legged chair pose. From here, you might bring the backs of your hands together. A few of us might be able to reach around, grab the palms. Wherever you're at, these are all good variations. Elbows lift, shoulder blades release down. Finally, if you'd like, maybe you hinge forward, fold in, you might fall right out of your little eagle nest. That happens a lot. Apparently, eagles are terrible flyers. Starting out, they're these big, awkward birds. That's true. I Googled it, it's true. Stretch your arms out, and you can also balance an eagle egg on the autumnal equinox. You heard it here first. I always get a head rush coming out of that. I just feel like I'm gonna pass right out. So gaze down, start to breathe if that's happening to you. Second side, so move your block over if you took that variation. Root into your right foot, hip squeezes in, belly pulls in and up. All right, so we're gonna cross this left thigh over our right. Resting on the block is really nice with those toes. It just helps with the balance. Otherwise, you are free to find those actions a little deeper. If you're balanced here, take arms out wide. Give yourself a hug. Left arm on top. Elbows lift. As that happens, we start to sink our tailbone towards the earth. Very nice. You can stay here. It's a great place to be. If you're tight in the shoulders, it's where you stay. Otherwise, you can take any of these variations. Keep reminding yourself to lift elbows as fingertips stretch up. And then finally, if you'd like to take your little hidden tiger, crouching eagle pose, you can do that. I just make this stuff up. Breath smooth and steady. Oh, it's fun to balance like this. It's fun to fall out of this. It's no big deal. And then we let it go. Whew. Try not to fall over as you come out of that. I always feel dizzy coming out of that. Okay, let's turn that into a fun little flow sequence. Okay, so kind of building towards a peak pose here. It's gonna be that eagle again, but it's gonna be a little more challenging to get into, but you guys can do this. As you inhale, arms reach up. Take an exhale here, and then let's go ahead. Inhale, find our Utkatasana. All right, and then as you exhale, hinge forward, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Your option here, if you're cooked, you simply step back to downward facing dog. If you want a little more, this final push, step back right then left, take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. You're not gonna get enlightened any faster if you take this extra Chaturanga. Sorry to break it to you. As you inhale, right leg lifts. Good. As you exhale, step that foot through. Walk it off to the right, so we don't want to be on a tightrope here. I'm gonna scoot it back so I land on my mat. Dragging that right hip back, left hip forward. As we inhale, arms reach up. Let me get the hairs out of my face. Okay, so we're gonna hinge forward a little bit. Let's take our arms out wide. We're gonna start to shift the weight into this right foot. So we're gonna come through our warrior three variation and then wrap this left leg up and over. Good, and then left arm comes on top. Beautiful, guys. Take the arms out wide, find your belly, uncross, transition, back, inhale, into your crescent pose, beautiful. As you exhale, hands come to the mat, options, Chaturanga Vinyasa, or downward facing dog. They're both good. So we know where we're going. It's gonna be easier on this side. It might not look prettier, but it's gonna be easier. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. So keep those right toes curled under. Inhale, rise up, crescent. And let's make this a little easier this time. Instead of coming into that full warrior three transition, take your arms out wide. This is gonna help the balance. Start to hinge forward at your waist. Transfer the weight into that left leg. Lift that right leg up. And then open, but then come back to neutral. Give yourself a hug. Right arm on top. Elbows lift. And let's actually exit this a little different. So you can be here or here. You're like, just exit this already. Keep the arms like so. Then place that leg back. Release. Beautiful. Oh, such good work. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. Final opportunity for a Chaturanga Vinyasa if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, skip it and pull back to your downward dog. And when we get here, we all take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Do that again, nice deep inhale. Sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Then we're gonna bend our knees. We're gonna just hop forward, make our way to seated. If you tend to be tighter as you come to your sit bones, grab a blanket. You can sit down on that. That's just gonna help you to get release in the groin, in this pelvic girdle where we all get really tight. And then just coming into your Dandasana. I don't know about you guys. You can probably hear me breathing really heavy. I'm hot. I'm winded. So let's just take a moment here to slow down. Those are good things. It's good to work hard. So legs are active here. Your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. The inner thighs are spiraling down. And we've done a couple different variations of our tree pose already today. So let's kind of finish up here with one final variation. So keeping that left leg extended, bring the sole of your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. And of course, if you're a little more flexible, you're gonna be able to get that foot a little higher. It might be a little lower. They're all good places to be. If you feel pressure in your knee, blanket under the knee or a block under the knee is really great variation. And then also, if you know that you're tight in your hamstring, grab your strap. Great tool. It goes around the sole of your foot, which is nice because this reminds that foot to stay flexed and active. And then you begin to fold in any amount, and you might not have to go very far. More important to keep this lengthening through the spine as opposed to rounding in. So that same idea that we had when we were doing that core work with our boat pose. For those of us that are a little more flexible here, we're gonna inhale, reach our arms up, and then twist your torso to face towards that extended leg. You can do that if you're holding onto your straps as well. Lengthen forward, and hands might fall at any place on the earth beside this foot. If you're pretty flexible and you want to give yourself a little more leverage to find the twist, start to extend that left wrist past the outer edge of that left foot, and then hold on to that wrist with your right hand. And then that just allows you to start to spin these right ribs up towards the ceiling. And you can find that with your strap as well. So Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. It's like a seated tree pose. Lots going on, hip opening, groin stretch, hamstring stretch, forward fold, a little twist. And as we come into these static poses here, we are actively slowing our breath down. We're letting it stretch out. So there's still that inhale through the nose and that exhale through the nose. It doesn't have that same heating quality that our Ujjayi breath has. So as we arrive at this place, you might find that you have adequately stilled the mind here with all of the hard work we've been doing. So it just might be really easy to be in this pose. Be present in your body. For some of us, when we get into these static poses, the chatter in the brain starts to kick up. Part of that happens because we start to look around. That triggers us to think about things. Part of it is because these poses are really intense. They hurt. They stretch us. They're uncomfortable. And we don't really like to stay in uncomfortable places. So smile at that. Maybe count your breaths so you give your brain a little something to chew on. A couple more breaths here. And then let's slowly roll on up. Before we take our second side, let's just find a nice little twist here. So you're gonna take your right hand, draw this right knee in, so you're pressing into that foot. You can walk it forward, so you want to be able to sit nice and tall, sit bones pressing down into the mat. And then you're gonna reach your right fingertips behind you, so we're already finding a little twist. Couple options. You could just hug that right leg with your left elbow. A few of us might stretch that left arm up, and then bring the elbow to the outside. So that just gives you a little more leverage. As you press the elbow and the leg against each other, you can start to melt your shoulder heads back. Inevitably, this left leg gets lazy. Imagine that you're doing this standing up. So those left toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. They're really nice and active. And then you play with your gaze. So as you start to bring your gaze towards that right shoulder, you might get intense sensation in your neck. If that happens, just back out a little bit. Otherwise, you're welcome to look out over that right shoulder, and that's a really nice stretch. And these left scalene muscles, so those muscles in the side of the neck, which work really hard to keep our head on, right? Good. One more deep inhale. And then as you exhale, you unwind, extend that right leg to straight. Couple breaths here in your seated stack pose, your Dandasana. It appears to be quite the simple pose. It's actually very active. It takes a lot of work. It's a great pose for strengthening core. It's good to always watch like the beginning of a Netflix show, seated like this. All right, sole of the left foot comes to the inside of your right thigh. Here we are in our tree pose. It's easier in this configuration. Twist a little bit, so torso faces towards that extended leg. If you're using your strap, it goes around the sole of that right foot, and you walk down any amount. You might not have to go far at all to feel a stretch. That's where you need to be. If you're a little more flexible and you know that, stretch arms up as you inhale, twist, and then hold onto that twist as you exhale, lengthen forward. So reach that right wrist, and the back of your hand is facing towards your foot, and then grab on with that left hand. This helps you to roll in a little more. We have a nice long hold here in this pose today. So knowing that, maybe you got into the pose a little too deep, a little too quickly. So perhaps you back out, and then with each exhale, you start to find more space in your body and you melt in. So that's kind of a balancing act too. How much is too much? Is it enough? So we're always kind of moving back and forth, making little adjustments. You might be observing how this side feels different in your body. Good. As you inhale, you start to make your way out of this, and we come into that twist. So left hand helps to draw that knee in. See, important to be sitting on both sit bones here. So you might need to walk that left foot out a little bit. You might need to walk it forward. So you don't want to be in so tight that it feels really rough. Okay. Left fingertips reach behind you. They might even be on a block. This just helps you to keep all of that beautiful length in your spine. I just remember to flex my toes up towards the ceiling. Even I forget. All right. So you could hug here, and this side might feel different. You're getting all of the work. It's beautiful. If you want to go a little deeper, get a little more leverage, you can take that right elbow to the outside of the left thigh, and then you vigorously press that elbow against the thigh. It helps you to press your shoulder heads back, keep the length in the spine. And then we're just giving everything a nice ring out. These twists are super healthy for the spine. Get all of the synovial fluid working and moving. This is why moving in any capacity is so good for us. We're designed to be on our feet a good amount. You are starting to play with your gaze potentially. Maybe moving towards looking out over that left shoulder. As you do that, don't forget about those right toes. There's so many things going on. And it's hard to get a nice full inhale in these deep twists. Do your best. The exhale and the twists are nice. As we empty out, we might find a little space to twist in a little deeper. Good, deep inhale. As you exhale, unwind, extend left leg to straight, Dandasana, and then start to bend your knees. Give yourself a maybe lift your toes up off the mat. You're like a little egg balancing on the equinox. Then you're gonna roll onto your back. Finally, a super well earned Shavasana today. So classic is beautiful if that feels okay in your body. Legs out wide, arms by your side, palms facing up, eyes closed. If this puts pressure in your lower back, some blocks underneath or a blanket underneath just gives you a little release and relief. Finally, you could just end as we started, taking feet wide and then letting knees knock in towards each other. Let's all take a deep inhale here together. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Melting into a quiet, peaceful, restful Shavasana. Take a deeper inhale. Let the breath go as you exhale. And then start to bring some gentle movement back to your body, wiggling fingers, toes, maybe stretching your arms up overhead, extending legs forward. If you did that, you'll hug your knees back into your chest, taking your time. You're gonna roll to one side or the other, coming into the fetal position. Just pause there a moment. Eventually using your hands to press up to a comfortable seat. Observe how good you feel here. So it feels as though you're sitting taller. The breath is steadier and richer. The head's a little quieter. It's balanced all these things out. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. Send your body love and gratitude. Such a gift to be able to move like this, to work like this. Finally, just promise yourself that you're going to carry some of this good feeling that you've created with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead, the rest of the season ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today. Thank you.